Well, welcome back, everybody. Dennis Darville with you. I have a very special guest with me today for our fifth episode in God, Golf, and the Good Life. And, it's been a really special time. I've got a lot of really good, positive feedback about exploring major themes from the book of Ecclesiastes. Today, we're going to be really just thinking about this idiom or this metaphor that the author uses, striving after the wind, or like we like to say, chasing after the wind. So today I have Jerome Vasco Q. Did I get that right, Jerome?
Yeah, close enough. Yeah,
That's I guess a French derivation.
it is that. Yes.
Well, listen, thank you, Jerome. I got the privilege of meeting you about 3 years ago, and I'm guessing I got to meet you at what's lingering over your back right shoulder. For you that don't know Jerome is the regional chairman for B1 Banks there in northern Louisiana. And I'm guessing you're coming to me and to us this morning from right around Ruston or Shudrint, Louisiana, if I recall.
That's right. We're right here in downtown Shudrint, Louisiana, practically.
Yeah. What's that over your right shoulder? I think I remember that.
That's the clubhouse there at Squire Creek. And I took this picture a while back, and because the full moon was real pretty over the deal. But today that moon would be blue because we're all trying to get off the floor after our resident. Well, we consider him our son in many ways, but Sam Burns missing a crucial putt there that he's the best putter on tour. And I was so mad at the exam of the announcers to bring that up, that he was the number one putter as he's addressing that putt. So anyway, we're finally standing up.
I'm still hurting over that. I was pulling for Sam. Nothing against Fox, great shootout, but obviously big fan of Sam. He loves Jesus. I know he lives there. He's just one of the guys, really, right there at Fire Creek.
Yeah, and one of my favorite stats, coming off of Links, is when Jeff interviewed him and Scotty in one of the first episodes out at Scottsdale, and he and Scotty won the next 4 tournaments. That's a great.
We like to claim that we had something to do with it, Well, listen, you've been a banker now for let's just say more than a few years. Yeah. You've seen a lot of businesses succeed, a lot of businesses, or some businesses fail, but you've obviously seen a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses and men and women chasing business. I just want to ask you a simple question. You reflect on it. What difference does Jesus make when it comes to being a business guy?
Wow, great, really strong question there. I'll say this: you can tell the difference in the businesses that are run by Jesus guys, you could say. One of the things that you mentioned, I think, in your lesson last week was that we are hardwired to worship. And that was a great phrase for me to put to memory, because we're going to worship something. I never thought about it in those terms. Man is created, and we are going to worship something, hardwired. And I see so many people that choose to worship their business or the accumulation of money, the accumulation of things, which is what business, usually is done, or how it's used. I just think that it's so important that you have to understand what is it that you're worshiping. The Bible is just full of business advice for business ethics, business, the love of money, or love being the root of all evil, and those kinds of things. In fact, to the tune of, I think there are, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I think there are like 2,300 or 2,400 verses in the Bible that relate to business ethics and money. Wow. And money. I mean, that's a lot.
No idea.
2,400 verses. And in fact, even in Jesus's ministry, he talked about money, or how to handle it, or how to handle your businesses. It appears 11 of his 40 parables, I think, are dealing with the topic. So if you don't think business has been around a long time and it's always been a challenge, and that's quite good evidence there about it.
I had no idea that there were that many verses regarding business. Uh, the last thing anybody wants me doing is trying to run a business. That's outside my skill set, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember my time there at Squire Creek. We had a big gathering of Links fellowships from all over northern Louisiana, and even I think some guys even from Baton Rouge came up.
Yeah.
We had and I remember being in that beautiful, beautiful ballroom and having a wonderful meal together, and just thinking about all those businessmen and women that were gathered, and you could just tell their priorities. While their business was important, their family was important, that you could tell their priority was top of the heap was I want to live for Jesus Christ. So, you know, and you're right in the middle of that.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thankful to have been there. I was a reluctant business person. I went through school, got a master's degree in education, math education. I coached basketball and track for a few years right out of school, and really didn't want to have much to do with business. But God changed that and opened the door totally unexpectedly. And Nancy and I, my wife and I, prayed over that for quite a while to whether to do that. And so I stepped in there. I always felt like God had called me to be a teacher. And what I learned is that he has different ways of fulfilling his call to you and clarifying his call. And so I've been a teacher throughout. I mean, from the time I've entered the business community, and hopefully what we've been able to teach and show is the love of Christ, the opportunities that he gives us, and the chance we have to affect people's lives, even in the business world. You know, even when you're turning down a loan applicant, or when you're having to, you know, gosh, heaven forbid, you know, foreclose on a property or whatever that might be. That's the chance where you can look different in the way you go about that.
In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. I was just thinking about really everything in our life from golf. This is what Links is all about. We use golf as a platform to build a bridge, to talk to men just in a way to earn the right to talk about the love of Jesus. Well, business is no different, right? You can use business as a platform to build a bridge, to have a conversation with somebody wherever they are. That sounds like what you were just talking about.
Yeah. One of the things we do in training young lenders, for example, is we have a term called the 3 C's of credit when you're trying to teach a young lender about lending money. And the first C stands for character. So what I've always encouraged them, if you can't get past the character element, the other 2 C's, which are actually capacity to repay and collateral, you don't even need to go there. If you can't get past the character, stop right there. Don't convince me that we've got plenty of collateral or we've got plenty of cash flow. You know, let's make sure that the person's reputation, the way they handle themselves in the community, that's important. And I think that's one of those subtle ways of indicating to young bankers that, hey, it's not just about the money, you know. So that's
really good.
One response to what you're asking there.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I can tell you've given that some thought. Well, listen, I thank you for your time. I hope someday, you know, in the weeks and months, maybe years to come, I get you back on here. We can talk a little further, and then I'd love to. I'm not inviting myself, by the way, but I love being there in that Ruston area. I'm a Mississippi boy. It's not too far from my hometown.
Yeah.
I hope someday to get back over there and see you guys.
Well, you know, it's an open invitation. We loved having you here. We loved Randy Wolf got us into the Links deal, and he's such a wonderful guy, great writer himself. And I give him a shout out to this too. We enjoyed it. And Drew Hamilton's been great for us too. So yeah, come on over. We're glad to have you.
Thanks, Jerome. Look, blessings to you and to all our Links family and friends out there. I hope you're enjoying this series on God, golf, and the good life. In particular, this episode, I think, is going to be about largely striving after the one, that is chasing after happiness and joy and satisfaction apart from Christ. It's just a futile effort. So God bless, and we'll see you guys and gals next Friday.